Hey guys, what's going on? Anthony with Pistons Talk. I thought I would give you guys my personal list of the top 5 point guards in the 2020 NBA draft. Let's get to it. So my first point guard should not surprise any of you. It's Lamell Ball. And, for me, he is the best point guard in this draft, and it's not even close. The reason why I have him number one is a lot of reasons. One, his court vision, his ball handling, his elite vision, and what a threat he is in transition. He's a 6'7" point guard with all of those traits, and that's scary. He is going to be box office wherever he does land. He is going to sell tickets. He is going to have ESPN and all the media companies covering his games from day one. And I honestly believe that. That is not a hot take. He is worth the hype. And I know there are going to be a lot of Pistons fans that don't agree with that. There are a lot of Pistons fans that are already labeling him a bust. They're already labeling him a distraction because of LeVar. They like to use that excuse for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe they watch a lot of ESPN or Undisputed. But I am going to acknowledge what he does need to work on. I think there are two things he does need to work on. One, he needs to work on his shooting. And I think it's just a little tweak. I think with the proper shooting coach and wherever he does land, whether that's, Minnesota, Golden State, Charlotte, I think any of those coaching staffs, they can really help him become a lethal three-point shooter at the NBA level. The second thing he does need to work on is being more locked in on the defensive end. It's not to say he's a bad defender. It's just sometimes he's just not there mentally. Like I said, 6'7", 6'8" point guard. He has all the tools to be a very good defender at the NBA level. And those are the only two things I really can maybe nitpick with Lamell Ball, but he's a top 3 draft pick in my opinion. So the second point guard on my list is Killian Hayes. To me, he is the second best point guard in this draft, and he has a pretty well-rounded game. He's a 6'5" point guard that kind of reminds me of a D'Angelo Russell, a Manu Ginobili in a sense, where he's just kind of got that feel to the game. I love his ability to play out of the pick and roll. He can take you one-on-one. He's kind of got this old man, 30-year-old veteran game to him because he's really slow and methodical the way he plays. But that's not to say he's a slow player. He's just really patient on the offensive end. I think if you're a Pistons fan and you're like, okay, what does he need to work on? He definitely needs to work on his right hand. And that's not to say he can't finish with his right hand. It's just not as dominant as his left hand. That is something he can work on right away. Other than that, he really doesn't have any weakness. He's a good defender. He's a good three-point shooter. Can make his free throws. Like I said, pick and roll maestro. You really like this guy. And this is a guy I believe the Detroit Pistons will end up drafting 7th overall. There have been numerous media websites having the Pistons linked to Killian Hayes, and he's number 2 on my list. The third point guard on my list, the armless point guard on my list, shout out to Photoshop for cutting his arms off, is Tyrese Haliburton. And this is a guy that the local Detroit media has been really hyping up. This is a guy that I've seen a lot of Pistons fans actually want him to land to that 7th overall pick. And, for good reason. If you're looking for a guy that is one of the best shooting point guards in this entire draft, Tyrese Haliburton is it. If you're looking for a guy that is a disruptive defender, Tyrese Haliburton is it. But why I have him below Killian Hayes are 2 reasons. One, his isolation game is still a work in progress. He does not really like to take it one-on-one versus his defender. That's something he's going to have to work on at the next level. The second thing he needs to work on is taking it to the basket more. Now, I don't know if he needs to add more weight. He's 6'5", 175 pounds, but For me, he has all the physical tools to take it to the basket. He just needs to, bulk up a little bit. But, I mean, those are two things he can work on with skills coaches, with NBA coaches at the next level. And I think we're just nitpicking at that point. But Tyrese Haliburton is third on my list. So the fourth point guard on my list is Cole Anthony from North Carolina. If you're looking for a guy that can shoot threes, hit his mid-range shots, and take it to the basket, Cole Anthony is your guy. The reason why I have him fourth are two reasons, and let me explain why. My first reason is he doesn't pass the ball as much as I'd like him to. He only averaged 4 assists at North Carolina, and I know there's going to be someone saying, well, that team at North Carolina was really bad. Okay, I can agree with that. It was really bad, but I think for a point guard, 4 assists is not going to get it done at the NBA level. I think he's more than capable of averaging 6 to 7 assists a night, in my opinion. I think he's that type of talent. I think he could be a player you could build around. And the second thing that we're going to talk about, and it has nothing to do with this game, it's his health. For you guys that don't know, he had knee surgery. He was out 4 to 6 weeks, and this could be a huge red flag, not even if you're a Pistons fan, but just an NBA fan. If your team is in the lottery and Cole Anthony is on the board, do you take the risk of drafting him? We saw Michael Porter Jr. He was a number 1 prospect in high school, and he gets drafted by the Nuggets, and look what he's doing now. I'm not comparing Michael Porter Jr. to Cole Anthony, but it's a similar situation where you have a prospect that's already having injury history. It could pan out for whatever team drafts him, but those are my only 2 things that I, are kind of concerned with Cole Anthony, and Cole Anthony is fourth on my list. So the 5th point guard on my list, the last point guard on my list, is Kira Lewis Jr. from Alabama. This guy is probably one of the most underrated point guards in his draft class. Reminds me a lot of De'Aaron Fox. He's a point guard that is scary in transition, can finish with either hand, can shoot 3-pointers, facilitate the basketball. There's a lot to like about him. But what I'm seeing from other media websites, mock drafts, the one thing they keep bringing up is his frame. He's 6'3", 165 pounds. So I think that's probably a negative if you're looking at a point guard that's 6'3" and he's not even 170, 180 pounds. You're not going to draft him because of that. I think that's really silly. I think he can add weight at the next level. If that's the only thing you're really going to nitpick with him, then, he could be a lottery pick. A team like the Knicks or, a team that needs a point guard, he could slip up in the lottery and surprise a lot of people. He's one of my favorite point guards in this entire draft. Fit-wise with Detroit, I think he makes a lot of sense. But I couldn't see him being drafted if Killian Hayes, Cole Anthony, or Tyrese Haliburton were still on the board. But Kira Lewis is the 5th and final point guard on my list. All right, you guys, that was my list of the 5 best point guards in the 2020 NBA draft. Let me know what you think of this list down below in the comment section. Like always, I hope you guys are staying safe. Take care. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.